Listen up. You know exactly who you are. You've watched exhaust reviews for bikes you don't own, priced up biker jackets, gloves, and all the gear. You've saved 3 motorbikes on Facebook Marketplace, one of which definitely is stolen, but we'll avoid that fact. You've watched every best beginner motorcycle video on YouTube, and someone else's bike is your phone wallpaper, despite the small technical detail you haven't even booked a CBT. You are emotionally a motorcyclist, but in reality, you're still riding the bus. And every time you get close, something appears. Cue the excuses. It's too dangerous. Can't, the wife will kill me. I've just been on the Ducati configurator. It's just too expensive. The whole license thing, it's just too confusing. I just haven't got the time. I'll do it one day. What if the real reason most people who want to ride never ever do is a psychological trap that has almost nothing to do with any of those things? This is not a video about trying to convince you to sell your car for a superbike, binning your life off as you know it to make it revolve around chain lube and MotoGP. This is why so many people who want to ride never actually start. From the outside, motorcycling looks like a massive life decision. A new skill to learn, licenses to acquire, new gear, new risks, and insurance quotes that will make you wish you never bothered. What? But in reality, well, here in the UK at least, the first step is often just one day. That is, drumroll please, your CBT. What is a CBT, I hear you ask? A CBT is a 1 day of basic training on a 125cc motorcycle in a controlled environment with an instructor. No theory test needed, and in most cases, no gear needed either, because this will be provided. Once you've gained your CBT, you can ride a bike on the road the very same day. It's the perfect opportunity to start your riding career and find out if biking is for you. So, why do people spend years thinking about it? Because the real barrier is not the bike, it's the story in your head. So let's go through the stories we hear from wannabe bikers all the time, and then I'm going to show you how to overcome them. Story number 1, I can't get permission. Hello, I'd like to learn to ride a motorcycle. Denied. Well, no decision making for me. This is the big one. The classic line is, my partner won't let me. And sometimes that is genuinely real. People worry. They've seen the headlines, they know someone who knew someone, and motorcycle fear travels faster than motorcycle facts. But sometimes, be honest, it's convenient, because if someone else says no, you don't have to find out if you're actually going to do it. When we let someone else say no for us, we get to avoid the internal conflict and potential failure while still getting to be the person who would ride if only someone else would let them do it. Now this comes from a primal place in our brain, the amygdala, our threat detection center. It sees motorcycle and equates it with a major threat, overriding the logical part of our brain that could rationally assess the risk. You're not only asking, is a bike dangerous? You're asking, what happens if people see me become this version of myself? So how do we get around this? Well, stop asking the wrong question. Don't say, can I get a motorbike? Say, I'm thinking about doing a 1 day basic training course with an instructor to see if motorcycling is actually for me. That is a whole different conversation. You're not applying to become Ghost Rider, you're learning a skill. Story number 2, the 1 day trap. One day when I've got the money. One day when I have the time. One day when my back doesn't hurt so much. One day is a beautiful phrase because it lets you keep the dream without risking the dream. It sounds optimistic, it feels responsible, it has the emotional texture of progress. But most of the time, one day means not today with better branding. Motorcycling is especially good at trapping people here because it feels bigger than other hobbies. If you want to try hiking, you go for a walk. If you want to try photography, you take some terrible pictures of a coffee and call it a phase. If you want to try running, you download Strava, suffer for 11 minutes and tell Instagram you're rebuilding yourself.
Wow, I'm actually good at this. Maybe I'm a natural. Jesus, is that a stick?
The 1 day trap is a vicious cycle. You feel the desire, so you start researching to feel like you're making progress. But the research reveals more options and more risks, which increases your anxiety. That anxiety demands even more certainty, so you do more research and the cycle repeats, reinforcing the belief that you're not ready. That is why research becomes so addictive. Research lets you taste the future without being judged by it. So how do you get out of this cycle? Make that first step and book the CBT. Buy some gear, read the highway code, make an actual meaningful effort to start, because one day becomes never. Story number 3, it's not affordable. 2 cocktails, an entire day's work. Weekend city break, my entire salary. 1 IKEA trip, somehow a month's rent. 1 CBT, suddenly too expensive. Let's talk about money, because this is one of the biggest fake walls in the whole thing. Riding can be expensive, so can literally any hobby once the internet gets involved. The algorithm will convince you that beginner motorcycling starts with a carbon helmet, Gore-Tex everything, heated gloves, an intercom, a tail tidy, and a bike that costs more than your car. That is not the start. That is the algorithm trying to mug you. The start is the CBT. Now I get it. You've gone on Auto Trader, found your dream bike, and decided to run a quick little insurance quote. Seen that you're paying more insurance than the bike, and you gave up. But don't put the cart before the horse. A CBT starts at around £170. This is the entry fee to progressing. You don't need to rush out, buy the big R1 and an 800 quid helmet. And while I get £170 isn't nothing, it certainly isn't the 10 grand figure you had in your head. You need just one first move and book your training day. Everything gets easier once you actually make a start. And the final story is too complicated. The UK motorcycle license system does look like it was named by someone who got paid per acronym. And confusion does genuinely stop people, because when your brain sees too many options, it does something very clever and deeply annoying. It chooses none of them. Decision paralysis. It says, I'll just research a little bit more. And then suddenly it's midnight and you're on a forum from 2011 reading posts from two men called Phaser Dave and Big Steve arguing about the best chain loop you can buy. Who cares? And why do you? Let's stop this messing about and get to it. I've said it before in this video and I'll say it again. Just book your CBT. You do not need a 5-year bike ownership strategy. All you need is a date in the calendar. And I promise you, once you get that out of the way, you'll figure out the next step from there. Rome wasn't built in a day, people. That brings us on to our next topic. The fear. A lot of people who say they're scared of riding are not only scared of riding, they're scared of becoming someone who rides. And that is different. Now, don't get me wrong, there is risk involved with riding a motorcycle, but proper gear, proper training, and the right mindset can reduce the risks. Years of conditioning will have you believe that even looking at a motorcycle is dangerous. That is far from true. So why are people scared of becoming a motorcyclist? It probably has something to do with the fact it has an identity attached to it. Dangerous, loud, irresponsible, pick your stereotype, which, may I say, really isn't true in the real world. If you've spent your whole life being the sensible one, the cautious one, the responsible one, the person who thinks everything through, then learning to ride can feel like you are betraying your own character. You're not just asking, can I control a motorcycle? You're asking, am I actually the sort of person who does this? And the annoying answer is, well, you don't know yet. You have to find out. That is why consuming motorcycle content is so comfortable. Thank you for watching. You get the feeling without the commitment, but you do not have to be seen trying. Making that first step threatens this because it makes the dream measurable. You might stall, you might wobble, you might be nervous. You might also discover that the thing you worked yourself up over was just a simple 2-hour road ride with an instructor. Awkward. That is the real fear. Not the bike, the reality of learning a new skill. So how do you break the loop? You make the decision smaller. You do not decide to become a biker. You do not decide your forever bike. You do not decide whether you're going to commute, tour Europe, join a club, buy levers, or start saying good bit of kit about anything with a zip. Make the first step, book that pesky CBT, and take action. The question is, am I curious enough to spend one day learning the basics? This is so much easier to say yes to. Turn up, meet the instructor, learn the controls, practice slowly, go on a supervised road ride if you're ready. And then go home knowing that you learned more that day than you ever did doom scrolling Reddit motorcycle threads. And after that, you're allowed to have a real opinion. Maybe you love it? Awesome, welcome to the club. And if you didn't, also brilliant. You scratched that itch and now you know it wasn't for you. And that's okay. Either way, you escape the worst place to be, the waiting room. So if you've been waiting for permission, clarity, money, confidence, perfect timing, or some magical version of yourself who wakes up fearless, well, stop. That person's not coming. Confidence usually turns up after action and not before it. So open up a tab, load up the RideTo website, find a local instructor, look at the dates, look at the price, and book it. At some point, you have to stop watching other people ride and find out what it feels like for yourself. And trust me, it's awesome.